Hello everyone, and today we're going to be having a look at another version of the Buster Blader deck that was recommended to me by someone in the comments, the Rocket version. Now, in the last number of videos we had on Buster Blader, we have covered off the 10E version of the deck, which I do believe, even after playing this, I still believe is the best way to play the deck. However, there are a number of other ones, and I'm not going to make a statement without at least giving some level of credit or evidence to the contrary. So what we're going to look at today is a Rocket version of it. Now, the actual full detailed deck breakdown will be at the end. We'll go through card by card, but what generally is the idea of the deck? What you're trying to do is you're trying to put up 1 or 2 additional interruptions, as well as your Buster Blader plays, basically your prologue. So the Buster Blader engine itself stays the same, but there are certain aspects of it that this deck manages to take better advantage of than the 10U version. So we're still running the 3 prologue, 3 whelp, 3 trap trick, and the 3 prosperity. That is essentially what I would consider the prologue engine, plus your Dragon Buster Destruction Sword and your 3 copies of the Buster Blader. You can knock this down to 2, but I like 3 because having 1 in hand isn't always a big deal. Actually, sometimes it could be beneficial when paired with the Protector Whelp. One of the benefits of this deck is it summons the Protector Whelp an awful lot easier than the other deck does, in addition to its regular plays. So you're usually ending on your Buster Blader plays and either a Hieratic Seal or a Borreload Savage Dragon, or both, depending on how well you open up. But yeah, it is a very, very fun deck. I don't think it's as good as the 10U version, but again, I would rather have that credited and show it off so that people can give it a try. This is more than likely not the optimized version way of playing it. People are really back and forth in terms of how they're generally playing it. I've been testing this and I've kind of liked it, but I will be testing more versions of it. And if I come up with anything sort of big that changes what I think about the deck, I will absolutely make another profile on it. So keep an eye out for that. Other than that, we have been climbing massively in terms of the amount of support we've been getting over the last week or so. We're up to 72 subscribers, so we are killing it. If we can get to 100 within the next week or so, at the rate we're going, that shouldn't even be an issue. So hopefully then, at least by the end of the month, we're looking at 100, 150. So if you do like what you're seeing and you want to see any more of it, or if you have any suggestions or anything, do subscribe. It is completely free, helps me out, costs you nothing, why not? And leave a comment with anything you want to see. So having said that, I'm not going to ramble on any more here. Let's get into game number 1. Alright, getting into game number 1 here, we're actually starting off by going second, which is usually a very bad look for the deck here. We're going up against Sword Souls, who's going to go for the Strategist. Discard a Worm to summon itself and a token. He's going to go into the Cheng Ying, inflict 1200 damage, and pass. So I'm assuming he didn't have very much in his hand, but a Cheng Ying on the field is a frighteningly powerful boss monster, very hard to get rid of. So we're going to banish 3 off the top of our deck here to trigger our Prosperity to check the top 3 cards of our deck. We're going to grab Call by the Grave because that may be very useful later on. We're going to normal summon one of our Rockets and then special summon out the Striker Dragon. He is going to Ash our Striker Dragon, which in this case was actually sort of beneficial for us almost because it doesn't do anything. And then we're going to chain to the Striker Dragon, summon our Noctovision Dragon, which will allow it to special summon itself. So it's a very good card just for additional extension. Then we're going to use these 2 on a link summon for the Heavenly Spheres. The reason we're using Heavenly Spheres over anything else is we get the chance to bounce this guy back to the extra deck, so we're avoiding his protections. We're going to go for Prologue of the Destruction Sword, send a Memories and a Buster Blader to the graveyard to summon the Buster Dragon from the extra deck, which will change all his monsters to dragons. We're then going to chain a few effects here. So the Heavenly Spheres will summon out a monster from the deck. Noctovision Dragon will summon itself, so we get Noctovision as well as our Rocket Tracer. So we've got a few more monsters on board. Memories then will activate banishing itself and a dragon from the graveyard to grab our Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman, and with that, our opponent decides that is a game. He taps out, and I can't blame him. So here in this situation, you've got your typical, not only were we able to bounce back his Cheng Ying, which is big, we were also able to set up the basic sort of Buster Blader skill drain combo, essentially, and we had a lot of follow-up for the following turn as well, with the Noctovision Dragon, the Tracer. We had Call by the Grave and Ash, as well as additional interruptions. So you can see there's definitely something to the deck. It is definitely not bad. It's not a bad way of playing it. But it just doesn't have the refinement or the edge on it. That could potentially be me just being a little bit inexperienced with it, but again, this game shows that, you know, the potential is there. So taking that, we're going to go into game number 2. Here we are, game number 2, once again going second. Not a lot of luck on the coin tosses here. This game was a bit of a joke. This guy had pretty much everything he needed. Prank Kids are a very consistent deck, to be fair. That's sort of the thing they do. So he's going to go into standard plays, summon out the Duel. Fansies are going to, I believe, summon an additional monster from the deck, doesn't it, when it's sent as link material. The Duel is going to add a spell or trap card from deck to hand. Yeah, there it is there. So it sends from deck to graveyard and then summons one from deck as well. So he's going to summon out a second Duel here, and he's going to use its effect this time to tribute it to target 2 Prank Kids in the graveyard and add them back to his hand. What that's doing is that's basically setting up the Pandemonium. So Pandemonium will allow him to fusion summon into the Battle Butler, and the Battle Butler is essentially a double Raigeki on my turn. So he's setting up to have quite a lot of interruption then on our turn. The specifics of all of these plays, I would have to sit and actually learn Prank Kids a little bit more, to be honest. I'm not the biggest fan of the deck, so I couldn't tell you everything about them. Here it is, the Battle Butler. He actually used, wasn't it Thunder Dragon Fusion for that one? Yeah, so I don't know what he was doing with the Pandemonium. He still must have Pandemonium set, which I believe is just another fusion, which is crazy. So this man is just going to be able to do this over and over. He has a Max C as well. We don't really have a choice but to try and play through it. So we're going to normal summon the Whelp to search the prologue. Striker Dragon's going to come out. It's going to grab us the Boot Sector launch. We're going to set 3 and just hope for the best. We couldn't really do anything more, what with him having Max C. He's going to pop the Striker Dragon by tributing his monster, which suits us down to the ground. That's fine. Going to use prologue here to grab our Buster Dragon, but it doesn't work, unfortunately. Ghost Spell, because technically this card can summon from the graveyard, Ghost Spell can negate it. So we're going to use Trap Trick, and we're going to set the prologue again from the deck. An important thing about Ghost Spells, if you read it, it negates the activation of the card, meaning we can use a second one, because technically it was never activated. So we're going to send again another 2 cards. We're going to chain to that the Destruction Sword of Memories. He's going to grab another Max C on this turn, which is going to be basically a draw 2 for him. So that's not exactly what you want to be seeing, but it is what it is. We'll banish the Striker Dragon and the Buster Blader to go into the Buster Blader Fusion monster, summon it in defense, and then we're going to summon out the Buster Dragon. Buster Dragon's going to equip onto this guy the Whelp from the graveyard to lock him out of the extra deck. However, he's going to chain Ghost Spell to our Buster Dragon, so that basically nullifies the combo. Which is definitely not what you want to see. So now none of his monsters are dragons. Our Buster Blader's in defense, and yes, he can't use the extra deck, but all he needs to do is swing into us. Not that he even needed to, because he had a Kaiju in hand anyway, so there was literally nothing we could have done to prevent that turn from happening. It's unfortunate, but what are you gonna do about it? Sometimes it just happens. Our opponent's gonna go into all kinds of crazy Prank Kids plays here. So he's going to reduce us Fansies, send a card to summon out the Lampsies. These 2 are going to go into the Doodle Doo. It's going to search for a Prank Kid card as well. Again, Lampsies are going to summon out another Prank Kid from the deck to the field. So he's going to grab the Pandemonium again. Again, he already has Pandemonium, so it doesn't matter too much. We take 500 damage, and he summons out a Fansies. He goes into Nightmare Unicorn here to discard a card to return a card back to deck. So our Trap Trick is sent back where it belongs. Goes in the Access Code Talker, and we've all seen how this ends. This is fairly straightforward. Pop our Kaiju and swing for lethal. So this game is basically here. That was an unfortunate game. So it doesn't matter how powerful the Buster Lock may be, it is not going to win you every game. It is not going to do that, which is why it's very important to make sure the rest of the deck has been sufficiently fortified in order to allow it to assist with the Buster Blader engine actually winning the game. That's where this deck sort of falters a little bit. It does sort of want to be its own thing, but it's sort of struggling to do so at the minute. The Rockets don't really work very well with the Buster Blader cards. Simply because the deck's not pure enough. It needs to be pure Rockets for it to work. Maybe a Chaos version would work, but we'll come back to that at the end. I'm not going to sit and ramble here. It was an unfortunate game. It is what it is. So we'll get into game number 3. Alright, game number 3, and we actually managed to go first this time. It's looking like a very simple, straightforward, pure hand here. We normal summon our Whelp, but it gets ashed. So no prologue for us, unfortunately. And suddenly this hand's not looking so great. So now we're going to use our... we're going to go into the Striker Dragon here. Striker Dragon's going to grab us the Boot Sector Launch, which, you know, it doesn't do much for us right now. We're going to revive back the Whelp from the graveyard using Monster Reborn. And then we're going to use these two to go into Crystron Haki Fibrax. Again, we're just trying to get as much advantage in the field as we can here. We'll summon out the Everbuster thing from the deck. We're going to go into the Protector Whelp, which will send from the deck to the graveyard the memories to summon out the Buster Blader himself. And then we pass. So we don't have very much in the way of interruption, but we do have a Ash Blossom and a Maxi. He does Kaiju us, unfortunately. We do activate our Maxi just in case he wants to summon any more Kaijus. He goes for the Fusion Destiny, but we're going to use the Ash Blossom to stop that Fusion Destiny. So at this point, if he summons anything more this turn, we are going to start drawing cards. He summons out the Ecclesia, then normals out Moyi. Moyi is going to summon a token to the field. We're just going to get drawing every time he summons. The Grandmaster now hits the field. Grandmaster gets searching. Moyi will allow him to draw a card as well. So we are starting to accrue some advantage. At this point, we're just praying that we survive this turn. And we have methods of doing so. We're not in a lot of trouble. He summons out another token from the graveyard. He's going to tribute his Ecclesia. This man's going all in on the Maxi. He does not care. He is going for game, and he has it here. He's going to swing in for 300. His Berserker's going to gain the attack points of the Kaiju and be able to swing again. That's going to put him in a position where the Grandmaster is lethal, but we do have memories in the grave. Memories will banish the Buster Blader and the Dragon to summon out the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman. Matches his Grandmaster exactly in attack points, so he can't do anything about it. So he simply sets one and passes. So we're going to activate the Boot Sector Launch. Boot Sector Launch is going to summon out 2 of our Rockets. We're just waiting on him triggering the Berserker. We're trying to bait him into it. We're going to go into the Seals here. That's going to trigger Nocto Vision Dragon to draw a card. We drew into the Absol Rider Dragon, which can summon itself for free. So we're going to use that to go into the Quad Boral Dragon. The Absol Rider Dragon, when sent to the graveyard, will grab our Tracer. Tracer is going to pop the Field Spell to summon out another Rocket. Using these two, we are now going into the Buster Dragon. So something that this deck does well that the other one doesn't is it will synchro summon into the Buster Dragon a lot more consistently. We're going to pop the Quad Boral to summon back your 2 Rocket Monsters, a Tracer and a level 4. Go in the Borreload Savage Dragon, go in for game. That would have been pretty much it. So a very, very good showing of the deck there. It shows how the Rockets did actually sort of facilitate the rest of the Buster Blader plays. That's what they do. So the biggest advantage I can see to playing Rockets over Tinnies is Rockets help facilitate the actual Buster Blader combo in a little bit more than the Tinny engine does. So it's 2 different sort of plays. Rockets will help you play Buster Blader a little bit more consistently and often, while sacrificing the individual power and reliability that the Tinnies would normally bring to the deck. So it's a balancing act, so it is. Both of them are very good, just in different ways. So we're going to get in then to the last game of the video. Alright, game number 4 here. We're going first, which is usually a good luck for this deck, but we don't have very much in the way of combos. So we're going to normal summon out a Rocket, go into Striker Dragon, and that's going to trigger the Nocto Vision Dragon, the special summon itself, out to the field. And we're also going to grab the Boot Sector Launch. So a little bit of card advantage, nothing terrible. We're going to use these 2 guys to go into the Heretic Sphere, simply so we have some form of interaction on our opponent's turn. We draw 1, and we have now Quick Launch. Quick Launch will special summon out the Tracer from the deck. Tracer's going to pop the Field Spell to summon another Rocket from the deck. We were hoping to go into a either a Borreload Savage Dragon or even a Buster Dragon there, so we would have been able to go into Buster Dragon. Memories would have been able to go into the graveyard. We would have had the full combo without even using the Prologue. We're still going to try and do that though. We're going to summon out the Quad Boral Dragon, use these 2 to go into the Buster Dragon. Just like I said we would here. Now we've got Memories on the field and the ability to basically go into the Buster plays without even having Prologue. We did not have Prologue for this hand. We summon out a Buster Blader, and now with Memories in the grave, we banish one of our Dragons and our Buster Blader, and the big guy himself hits the field. So we now effectively have our Skill Drain and our extra deck lock. So we're looking pretty good here. Our opponent, unfortunately, has Droplet and Emergency Teleport. Now, Droplet is a massive counter to this deck, as it is to many decks. Like, what are you going to do about Droplet? It just is what it is sometimes. He's going to summon out Wielder here from the deck. Our skill drain is effectively dead, so we're just praying our opponent doesn't have a way of finishing us off here. He's going to go into Cherubini. Cherubini is going to mill the Graph. Graph's going to summon out a Seer. He's going to banish. He's just going to start cycling out his Phantom Knights now at this point. Start sending, banishing, recycling. So he's going to summon back the Gloves. And the Graph as well. So he's just going into all sorts of plays. He goes into the Phantom Knights here. Going to Rusty. Rusty's going to send one to set one from the deck. Because he has no traps in the graveyard, he can activate that set card whenever he wants. Banishes the Ancient Cloak to grab one of his Phantom Knights to hand. Banishes the Torn Scales. Summons the Torn Scales from the graveyard to go into a second Livier. The Sea Dragon. The Sea Dragon's going to special summon back another one of his banished monsters before he summons out the Utopic Future. Utopic Future, of course, leading into the Utopic Draco Future. So, massive boss monster, can't be destroyed by battle or card effects, and can negate a monster effect once per turn. So the Utopic Draco Future is a massive threat. He's going to now link summon into Predaplant Verte Anaconda, send the Fusion Destiny to summon out DPE. So this is a menacing board our opponent has set up here. He's going to go for Verte Anaconda to wipe out the Buster Blader, swing in the Buster Dragon, and pass turn from there. He doesn't have a way to get over the Buster Dragon, the Buster Blader himself just yet. But I mean, he has DPE. He's just going to start popping cards here. We're going to try using our Boot Sector launch to basically summon back some of our Rockets from graveyard to hopefully combo off, but he does stop us, unfortunately. He still has that monster to get on board, so we do need to be aware of it. We're going to check the top 3 cards of our deck for something useful, and unfortunately we just have the Rocket Recharger. We're going to swing into the Rusty here just to get something out of the turn, but we don't have very much else we can do, so we're just going to pass from there. Again, it's looking very rough. We don't have very much we can do. DPE comes on back, so he's got a pop, he's got a negate. It's not looking great for us. So we're going to banish the Ancient Cloak from the graveyard to grab Boots. Torn Scales is going to resummon itself as well from the graveyard, which will facilitate the Boots summoning itself. Now he's got the Break Sword on the field, and the Trap card will finally activate to summon itself as a monster, and he'll summon out the monster from his hand as a level 4. Out comes Raider's Knight. So this guy will detach material to special summon out the Arc Rebellion Exceed Dragon. So this guy is about to get beefy, but he's a dragon, so he gets negated and switched to defense. So he should have gone for the DPE first. Now he doesn't have lethal this turn. So he did cost himself lethal, which is unfortunate, but what are you going to do? He should have read the cards basically, or even fought ahead. I think without the Buster Dragon, he wasn't even thinking about Buster Blader as a threat. He's going to get his DPE back here, but like, what are you going to do? Look at our hand. Yeah, and we just scoop it up, honestly. That's one of the biggest reasons as to why I don't like this deck, is the Rockets by themselves. As soon as you've used your Striker Dragon and your Boot Sector launch, they're just garnets. They're useless cards in your hand. So that's one of the biggest reasons as to why I'm not a big fan of the deck, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, let's get into the deck profile. We're going to break it down and go through sort of card by card and find out what exactly is the theory here. What can you play, what can you not play, what's the idea? So let's get into the deck profile. Alright, so having a look at the deck profile then, again, the Buster Blader Salfit stuff is still intact. It's the exact same. We're playing Double Memories, we're playing Triple Prologue, Triple Whelp, one of the extra deck lock, 3 Buster Blader, 3 Trap Trick, and we're playing Pot of Prosperity as well. So Pot of Prosperity, you don't have to play this. You can play whatever you want there. So that's the Buster Blader stuff. It's the exact same as it always has been. It hasn't been changed, and it probably won't change. The only thing I would recommend maybe doing, you can potentially take out a Buster Blader. What you're going to put in its spot, I'm not sure. If it's going to be maybe an extra Maxi or something. There's nothing of any immense amount of value you can put in that spot, so the Buster Blader does come in handy on occasion. It also means your Memories is alive a little bit more often. So what exactly do the Rockets come into it then? So the Rockets mainly focus around Striker Dragon, so they do. So Striker Dragon, when it's summoned, will grab your Boot Sector launch. Boot Sector launch will summon out 2 Rockets from your deck with your hand with different names. So what Rockets are we playing? Honestly, the specific Rockets themselves don't have any innate meaning. They all have like additional little effects that can activate, but they're so far past their time. Like, these guys are so displaced out of time that those effects are pretty much irrelevant. They're just different names to me, and they're level 4s, which is the important. You only really want to play the level 4s. You could potentially want to play one copy of the Rocket Synchron, so you can tune it with your Buster Blader off of your quick launch. That's something I was initially playing. So that's the only other thing I could sort of think of. Like these are the core rockets you sort of want to play. Just the level 4s, maybe the rocket synchron. The only one of them that actually matters is the tracer. So tracer, pop a face-up card in your field, summon another rocket from the deck. So you summon out one of your level 4s. Tracer itself is a tuner, so you can go into your Borreload Savage Dragon, you can go into your Chaos Ruler, you can go into the Buster Dragon. So you have a lot of synchro plays you can do. You can also summon out any of your Dark Link monsters as well. So your Quad Boral Dragon, Masquerena, Access Code Talker Unicorn. So it does open up a lot of plays. It does lock you into Dark monsters from the extra deck only, but that's not a huge restriction. That basically means no Spheres, no Halleck, no Protector Whelp, but everything else is basically open to you. So that's where that sort of engine comes in. Absolute Rider Dragon's a free special summon when you control a rocket, and Nocto Vision Dragon is a free special summon whenever you special summon a Dark Dragon monster, basically. So that would be your Striker Dragon. So these guys are just free summons on top of your rockets. And then Quick Launch just special summons a rocket from the deck. Honestly, Quick Launch is probably the best card out of the entire rocket pack. In fact, I'm confident saying this is the best card out of the entire rocket package. It's the only thing that makes this remotely playable. I wish there was a more consistent way of getting into this, to be honest, but there's just not. So yeah, that's generally how it works. Your Tracer basically just facilitates extra link plays. You're able to use your Protector Whelp a little bit more easily. And something this deck does that is really cool that the 10U version doesn't do, and you saw it in the last video, in the last game there, you can go into your full Buster Blader combo very easily without using Prologue. It's significantly easier to do it in this version of the deck than the other one without using Prologue, which is good. It's a big benefit. That basically you're expanding the amount of times you're going into your Buster engine. The only thing is, as you saw in the gameplay, the Buster engine by itself doesn't win games. It can win games, but it's not going to win every game. So you need the additional power. So that's why things like the Borreload Savage Dragon coming in is really cool. Being able to easily summon your Hot Red Dragon Archfiend as well, using the likes of your Rocket Synchron or your Chaos Rulers. So there are some cool little points of synergy. There is a lot of things that the deck could work on. Potentially a Chaos Space engine could be pretty cool. Stuff like that. But ultimately, the deck it's fairly straightforward. It's not as good as the 10U version in my opinion, but I will be revisiting it, hopefully with like a Chaos version potentially. Focusing more around a Dragon Link-esque sort of version. So keep an eye out for that. But that's pretty much everything I have to say on the deck. If you like what you saw here today, if you have any recommendations, changes you would make to the deck, absolutely let me know down below. And if you want to get watching any more content, again, feel free to subscribe. We're posting as often as we possibly can, and we are on a big surge here, heading towards 100 subs. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.